Chapter 25. Subhuti. Do not say that the Buddha has the idea, I will lead all sentient beings to nirvana. Do not think that way, Subhuti. Why? In truth, there is not one single being for the Buddha to lead to enlightenment. If the Buddha were to think there was, he would be caught in the idea of a self, a person, a living being, or a universal self. What the Buddha calls a self essentially has no self in the way that ordinary persons think there is a self. Subhuti, the Buddha does not regard anyone as an ordinary person. That is why he can speak of them as ordinary persons. Chapter 26. Then the Buddha inquired of Subhuti, What do you think, Subhuti? Is it possible to recognize the Buddha by the 32 physical marks? Subhuti replied, Yes, most honored one, the Buddha may thus be recognized. Subhuti, if that were true, then Chakravartin, the mythological king, who also had the 32 marks, would be called a Buddha. Then Subhuti, realizing his error, said, Most honored one, now I realize that the Buddha cannot be recognized merely by his 32 physical marks of excellence. The Buddha then said, Should anyone, looking at an image or likeness of the Buddha, claim to know the Buddha and worship him, that person would be mistaken, not knowing the true Buddha. Chapter 27. However, Subhuti, if you think that the Buddha realizes the highest, most fulfilled and awakened mind, and does not need to have all the marks, you are mistaken. Subhuti, do not think in that way. Do not think that when one gives rise to the highest, most fulfilled and awakened mind, one needs to see all objects of mind as non-existent, cut off from life. Please do not think in that way. One who gives rise to the highest, most fulfilled and awakened mind does not contend that all objects of mind are non-existent and cut off from life. That is not what I say. Chapter 28. The Lord Buddha continued, Subhuti, if someone gives treasures equal to the number of sands on the shores of the Ganges River, And if another, having realized the egolessness of all things, thereby understands selflessness, the latter would be more blessed than the one who practiced external charity. Why? Because great disciples do not see blessings and merit as a private possession, as something to be gained. Subhuti inquired of the Lord Buddha, "What do you mean, great disciples do not see blessings and merit as a private possession?" The Buddha replied, "Because those blessings and merit have never been sought after by those great disciples. They do not see them as private possessions, but they see them as the common possession of all beings." Chapter 29. The Buddha said, "Subhuti, if any person were to say that the Buddha is now coming or going, or sitting up or lying down, they would not have understood the principle I have been teaching." Why? Because while the expression Buddha means he who has thus come, thus gone, the true Buddha is never coming from anywhere or going anywhere. The name Buddha is merely an expression, a figure of speech. Chapter 30. The Lord Buddha resumed, "Subhuti, if any good person, either man or woman, were to take 3,000 galaxies and grind them into microscopic powder and blow it into space, what do you think? Would this powder have any individual existence?" Subhuti replied, "Yes, Lord. As a microscopic powder blown into space, it might be said to have a relative existence. But as you use words, it has no existence. The words are used only as a figure of speech. Otherwise, the words would imply a belief in the existence of matter as an independent and self-existent thing, which it is not. Furthermore, when the Most Honored One refers to the 3,000 galaxies, he could only do so as a figure of speech. Why? Because if the 3,000 galaxies really existed, their only reality would consist in their cosmic unity. Whether as microscopic powder or as galaxies, what does it matter? Only in the sense of the cosmic unity of ultimate being can the Buddha rightfully refer to it." The Lord Buddha was very pleased with this reply and said, "Subhuti, although ordinary people have always grasped after an arbitrary conception of matter and galaxies. The concept has no true basis. It is an illusion of the mortal mind. Even when it is referred to as cosmic unity, it is unthinkable and unknowable. Chapter 31. The Lord Buddha continued, "If any person were to say that the Buddha, in his teachings, has constantly referred to himself, to other selves, to living beings, or to a universal self, what do you think? Would that person have understood my meaning?" Subhuti replied, "No, blessed Lord, that person would not have understood the meaning of your teachings. For when you refer to those things, you are not referring to their actual existence. You only use the words as figures of speech, as symbols. Only in that sense can words be used, for conceptions, ideas, limited truths, and spiritual truths have no more reality than have matter or phenomena." Then the Lord Buddha made his meaning even more emphatic by saying, "Subhuti, when people begin their practice of seeking to attaining total enlightenment, they ought to see, to perceive, to know, to understand, and to realize that all things and all spiritual truths are no things, and therefore they ought not to conceive within their minds any arbitrary conceptions whatsoever." Chapter 32. Buddha continued, "Subhuti, if anyone gave to the Buddha an immeasurable quantity of the 7 treasures, sufficient to fill the whole universe, and if another person, whether a man or woman, in seeking to attain complete enlightenment, were to earnestly and faithfully observe and study even a single section of this sutra and explain it to others, the accumulated blessing and merit of that latter person would be far greater." Subhuti, how can one explain this sutra to others without holding in mind any arbitrary conception of forms or phenomena or spiritual truths? It can only be done, Subhuti, by keeping the mind in perfect tranquility and free from any attachment to appearances. So I say to you, this is how to contemplate our conditioned existence in this fleeting world. Like a tiny drop of dew or a bubble floating in a stream, like a flash of lightning in a summer cloud, or a flickering lamp, an illusion, a phantom, or a dream. So is all conditioned existence to be seen. Thus spoke Buddha.